What's up, Raider Nation? This is your boy Raiderdamus, and I am back with another Foretelling. This one is not on Friday, of course, because the Raiders play on Thursday Night Football in prime time this week, so I'm bringing you this message just a little bit early. To say that Raiderdamus has been on fire this year would be a total understatement. I have successfully picked every single game so far this season, except the ones that I skipped earlier in the year, so you know that when you come to Raiderdamus, when you come to the great beyond, we're going to tell it like it is, and we won't lead you astray. So today, I have once again asked the great beyond for his wisdom and his guidance concerning the future of the Raiders. And here is the message that I was given through the ether. Well, the Raiders got back on the right track at home, just as I predicted. The haters may all proceed to bow down, because I spit more fire than a volcano and I'm sicker than the flu. I have more flow than the Nile River, and this message will be wilder than the San Diego Zoo. As I said in my last missive, my favorite thing to do around here is to bust on the Browns. It's hilarious. I love it. A few years ago, the Browns had a 2-year span where they went 1-31. Who was the one, you might ask? It was, in fact, the Chargers. The only team crappy enough to lose to Hugh Jackson's Browns during that time. After that, the Chargers had the unmitigated gall, the sheer cojones, to go to the voters of San Diego and ask for money to build a new stadium for them. And the good people of San Diego quite rightly told the Chargers to take a hike, to take a long walk off a short pier, to make like a tree and leave, or to make like Willie Nelson and blow this joint. So, what was a true supervillain like Dean Spanos to do in a situation like that? Well, the only thing that he could do, and that's find some sucker to build a stadium for him. After all, Dean Spanos did not get to be obscenely wealthy by paying for buildings or paying for people to do things for him. No. He made his money the old-fashioned way, by inheriting it from his father and profiting through no merit of his own off the hard work of an immigrant, by exploiting the working class and getting his customers hopelessly invested in and addicted to a substandard product. It's the American way. But who would ever build a stadium for a cretin like Dean Spanos? Well, Stan Kroenke would, because he, as the owner of the Los Angeles Rams, wanted to ensure that whatever team shared his stadium would never be more popular than the Rams. The Raiders, who were in the running to be in Los Angeles, could play in Cameroon and still be more popular than the Rams in LA, so the Chargers were the clear choice here for the Rams to share with their stadium with. But there are teams in Snoop Dogg's Pee Wee Football League in LA more popular than the Chargers, who still play at a tiny soccer stadium where it costs $100 to park. Los Angeles residents are broke from paying their mortgages and paying their hospital bills from catching typhoid due to all the rats and the used drug needles in the streets of Los Angeles. They surely cannot afford the extra Benjamin. But, you know who can? Steelers fans, who have plenty of disposable income due to living in a city so cheap they can't even afford the gas to cook their steaks all the way through. A city so cheap they didn't draft Dan Marino because they could not afford his cocaine supply. But those Steelers fans can, and they did, invade the pathetic little StubHub Center and turn it into Heinz West. And every fan of every other team had a good little chuckle about how nobody cares about the Chargers. But why should anyone care about the Chargers to begin with? The team has never ever given anybody a reason to do so. The Chargers have employed some of the greatest players of all time, like Kellen Winslow Sr. and Lance Allworth, Dan Fouts, Junior Seau, Leslie O'Neal, Drew Brees, Phyllis Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Antonio Gates. They have been to exactly one Super Bowl with quarterback Stan Humphries, where they got eviscerated and disintegrated in front of God and everybody by the 1994 San Francisco Niners, one of the greatest teams of all time. And they wasted the careers of Rivers, Tomlinson, and Gates simultaneously. That is hard to do. That is not easy. And now, they continue to waste the career of Rivers right before our eyes. The Chargers have injury troubles every single year, and Rivers is doing his level best to try to restock the roster of the Chargers as quickly as possible with his own children. Phyllis is one of the most prolific and virile stud muffins the world has ever known. He makes Antonio Cromartie look like Isaac Newton. Soon Rivers will have enough kids for an entire offensive unit, and they'll surely be better even at their tender ages than the bunch of slags and scallywags the Chargers currently employ. When Rivers plays catch with his kids in the backyard of his mansion, he isn't doing it for fun. No. He's practicing for 2026, making sure they understand their protection schemes. People love to make fun of the Raiders coaching hires, but the Chargers literally employed Mike Riley as their head coach for 3 whole years, and he went 14-34 in his tenure with the Chargers. Riley gained a little bit of fame coaching the Oregon State Beavers, and he had a pretty good run before joining the Chargers when Chad Ochocinco and TJ Huzurmama were his main receivers. And he had a pretty prolific offense back then, but he flamed out in San Diego, And then he went on and thoroughly destroyed the Nebraska Cornhuskers football program and is now an assistant in the XFL. By the way, do you know what the N on the side of the Cornhuskers helmet stands for? It stands for knowledge. Luckily for the Chargers, however, their current head coach is Anthony Lynn, who appears to be somewhat competent. It's too bad all his players are hurt and nobody watches his games. Every single time Phillip Rivers has another kid, attendance at StubHub Center goes up 10%. Don't anybody ever tell Phyllis that adoption is a thing, or they will finally sell out the stadium. So this week, corpulent gasbag Dean Spanos made it very clear to anybody who would listen that the Chargers were not moving to London, which has been heavily rumored as of late, since their Los Angeles tenure has been the football equivalent of Mao Zedong killing all of China's sparrows. He used some colorful language in stating that the rumors were without merit. My response is, okay, Boomer, nobody cares where your team plays. The AFC West has 3 championship-caliber teams and the Chargers, and I would trade your team for the Seattle Seahawks and a box of Cracker Jacks every day and twice on Sunday. So sit down and shut up and stop pretending anybody cares about you. I would explain to the Chargers front office how much every single football fan in the entire world hates their blatant cash grab strategy and how it has made them an irrelevant and forgotten franchise. But I have neither the time nor the crayons necessary to do so. May God have mercy on their souls. Raiders win 24-20. Thank you very much. Good night.